brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries. In the weeks ahead, you will see these and other programs by various denominations. Austin Faith Dialogue, a public affairs series at the crossroads of religion and life. Austin Faith Dialogue highlights the interaction of the religious community with the social and cultural issues in the area in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KTBC TV. Join us now for this week's edition of Austin Faith Dialogue.
1 week after Pearl Harbor was bombed, women of faith declared their belief that the world would survive by forming Church Women United. Christian women from a variety of denominational backgrounds lay aside their doctrinal differences to unite to fight poverty among women and children, to fight racism, and to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. Hello, I'm Valerie Bridgman Davis, co-pastor of Benoit Full Community Church, and your host for today's edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. Today, women active in Church Women United have joined us on the occasion of the group's 50th anniversary. Joining us to give us a vision of where the group plans to go from here are Bernice Parker, a member of Trinity Presbyterian Church, Liv Harris, a member of St. John's United Methodist Church, and the Reverend Carol Causty, a member of United Christian Church of Austin. Welcome to you all. We're really glad you're here to be with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Church Women United has just completed a year, will have completed a year of 50 years in service. And I kind of want to know a little bit about how the celebration has gone in '91. I'm sure it's quite different than 1941, but what have you done this year to mark this occasion? Bernice, you want to?
All of our programs this year were on justice issues. That all of our celebrations and our forums addressed the justice and the needs of women.
What kinds of justice issues, for instance, Carol?
Well, the inequality of employment among women, the fact that they can't often get salaries that are as high as a man gets in the same position, poverty of children. The children and families are becoming the largest group of people in poverty, and we want to know what the root causes are of this poverty, why they often become homeless.
And once you discover what the root causes are, what do you do? What have you done this year on an action level?
Well, we have a continuing focus on education. It's both hands-on. We have members that go into schools. We've adopted a school, Allison Elementary School, and we've been there for 4 years, nearly 5 years, where members go and read with children, listen to children read, and work with their parents group. Also, women have decided to adopt schools in their own churches, neighborhoods, and we trust this is going to be ongoing, but this has been our focus.
Let's go back and say what exactly Church Women United is. In the opening, I said it's a group of Christian women who've come together, but exactly what is Church Women United?
It's a movement of women that have come together to be a visible fellowship, to witness to the saving grace of Jesus Christ, and to go out into action as a result of meeting together and discussing issues.
Okay, and where does this movement of women come from?
It has expressions on the national, the regional, the state, and local levels. In Austin, it's a collection of the women from churches from Orthodox and Protestant churches, the women's groups, or as individuals. They come to the meetings, the celebrations, and support the work in the community.
And I mean, Presbyterian, Methodist, and Christian Church are here. What other kinds of women join you? Are they, I mean, I don't know.
Well, members of the Church of God, and as individuals, for those that don't want to participate as church groups, Salvation Army women participate, and some Catholic women also, although their church as a group is not a member.
In 1941, when were you going to add to that?
I was going to say that we have some congregations of the Baptist Church, Ebenezer Baptist, African Methodist Episcopal churches, and Lutheran. We have just a wide variety of denominations.
So the women cross not only the denominational line, but the racial line. Ebenezer
Very
Baptist
much
Church is
so.
a predominantly black congregation here in Austin. And
I wanted to say that we don't look like Church Women United at a local level or at a national level here, because we're all white, middle class. And that's partly because our women of color were not able to come at this time when we were able to film. And that's one of the things that was so inspiring to me about being at the assembly we've just been to.
at the assembly, you gave us a good lead-in. At the assembly, there were women from all over the country or all over the world?
Both. One of the evening programs was including women from Asia, from the Soviet Union, from South America. It made a very colorful and enriching experience as part of the Jubilee Assembly.
When it got started in 1941, however, I'm sure Church Women United had no idea where they would be 50 years from now. Can you, as a historian of this kind of, Bernice, tell us a little bit about what they thought they were going to be doing when they got started?
Well, working on peace and justice and racial issues. And it was predominantly 3 women's national groups that came together.
And they were?
The Board of National Missions, a foreign mission group, and what was the other one? There were 2 national groups. One brought with them the World Day of Prayer that had started in 1887, and the Board of Women's Missions, that was it, had brought with them May Fellowship Day, and we'll talk about that later. And then after they came, they met in Atlantic City. And of course they had planned the assembly to come together and meet and discuss their common concerns, and then Pearl Harbor came on Sunday, but they voted to go ahead and meet. There were about 100 women, and they came out of there.
There were 100 women in 1941.
They were
Already?
the forming group
that was
began the
they
movement.
were the delegates.
And they came from just that region, or from?
From these organizations that Bernice was outlining.
National, across
They
the country.
believed that they could do more as a group than they could as individual organizations, and they wanted to have the diversity of the different denominational backgrounds. And since then, that diversity has been one of our high points and one of our strong feelings of unity among us and
Well,
within
one
the
of the
church.
things that Liv said was that, you know, you regret that there were no women of color here this morning. That I don't have that same regret, but I do understand what you're saying, that they aren't here for our viewing audience to see. But in 1941, there were no black women or Hispanic women at the delegation, was there?
I would doubt it, but I think soon after that they began to
I
spread
really
out.
don't know.
We'll
I
have to
haven't
look
looked
that
into
up.
that.
Thank you for asking the question.
But one of the agenda still was
race.
the combating of racism.
Right.
In 1941, that was one of the opening
Yes.
issues that
And
the
it
women
still
dealt
is.
with.
Still is.
Well, I'm curious to know, Carol, I guess, either one of you can answer this, but I'm curious to know, in the upsurge of the racial tension that there seems to be, as evidenced certainly in the political race in Louisiana, there was a lot of racial tension, and the Clarence Thomas hearings for confirmation, there was a lot of racial conversation.
Well, this is
around
nothing
that.
new for Church Women United. One of the whole decades during the 70s, 60s even, was called assignment race, when women were supposed to do studying on racial issues and on racial equality and bring that into the community and to see how the mediation and understanding and solution of these problems could be made because the church women were concerned in the first place, and tried to find ways to work it out.
One of the places Church Women United has a presence is the UN, the United Nations building. Bernice, how long have you been there, and what does it mean for Church Women United to be at the UN?
At the very inception of the United Nations, Church Women United were there. We were instrumental in putting in the meditation room, and our national president at the time was there for the dedication. And to have a presence there means we have an observer that lets us know of issues in the world, of injustice, and of where we can work for peace, where peace issues need to be addressed. And they mail out a newsletter 4 times a year. It's called UN Update, just to keep women informed on what women's issues and concerns are around the world.
One of the ways that Church Women United seems to be affecting the whole world is, I think you have a fellowship of the least coin, is what it's called, Liv. Can you tell us what the fellowship of the least coin is and how that works?
Well, because women don't have equal amounts of money, the decision was made, you all have to supplement this, but we give just a penny.
The least coin of the realm.
Okay, the least coin of the realm.
Yes,
Yeah,
like in
thank you.
the Soviet Union, the basic thing would be the kopeck, and in our country, the penny, and whatever it is in whatever country, each month a woman puts the least coin of the realm in a box or something, and on May Fellowship Day we bring that together as an offering, and it is provided then through a committee to be granted to various agencies throughout the world that are working for peace and
When
justice.
was that started?
And Ricky said 1956.
1956.
Yeah,
By a
since I'm
woman
a Presbyterian,
by a
I
woman
can
in
get to
India,
tell you about
I
that. That's
Shanti
right.
Solomon is the woman who conceived of the idea, and she was at the assembly in St. Louis, and we were able to see her and tell her thank you for starting this.
And does this raise a lot of money? And where does that money
They
come?
really don't talk about the money. The emphasis is the prayer. And I went to the luncheon and they were saying, you know, if you're going to put $1 on the table as your offering, we want 100 prayers for peace and reconciliation first. And that's the emphasis is on the prayer. And this is where our international booklet of prayers come out every 2 years. And there's 24 devotionals written by women around the world. And you can read one and you think it's the front page of America, and then you look at the top to see what country they're talking about and the picture of the woman.
And they're
that
the
has
very
done
same
this.
problems that we have here.
And this is something that has just really grown around the world.
Well, Church Women United, I said earlier, has a lot of programs that they do. We talked about the education. Liv, can you talk about the sewing room? What is that and how does that work? Or is it still in function?
No, it's still very much operative. And women go, is it once a week?
About once a week.
And make quilts, comforters, and they've been giving them to, like we had a big donation to, we have been involved in, what is it called with the social worker? Anyway,
Adopt a caseworker.
Adopt a caseworker. And women brought quilts and many, many household goods that were given to mothers who are working very hard to get off of welfare.
Oh, good.
Also, these comforters just go to people in need.
If there's a disaster, or at the beginning of the Girls' Town, when it was open, we provided a quilt for each girl's bed.
So in Austin, there is an old-fashioned quilting bee. by
Exactly.
Church Women
No, it's
United.
not a quilting bee.
I know,
they say
but-
they tie tack. See, they don't want you to say quilting because people think I don't want to quilt.
Oh,
They just
okay.
tie tack.
They become comforters to
And
comfort
so we
them.
call them comforters, and they comfort people.
I think I like the quilting bee. But where do they do that here in Austin? I'm just curious.
At
to know.
Asbury United Methodist.
Methodist on
and women-
Thursday, at Asbury's Thursday afternoon, and at Tarrytown Methodist is Thursday morning.
Okay.
Two places.
Anybody's welcome to come and tie a few.
And do they have to be a member of Church Women
No.
United to do
No.
it?
Would be open to anyone who's interested in the
At
project.
Asbury United Methodist in the mornings on Thursdays,
No,
and
Asbury's in the afternoon.
in the afternoon on Thursdays.
Tarrytown is
And
in the
Tarrytown United Methodist
Is
in the mornings, on Thursdays as
on
well.
Thursdays both.
Okay. Tell me something about the Intercontinental Grants Program and what that is and
Well,
how that works.
Okay, twice a year we have, well, 3 times a year we have celebrations we'll talk about in a moment, but at World Day of Prayer, we take up an offering, and in November it's World Community Day, and we take up an offering, and that goes into a general fund at the national headquarters, and when people have a need and they want to start a mission program, say a daycare or a rape crisis center or they have a real need in a community, they write a proposal and they get a grant. And this is given around the world. So these are intercontinental.
And what are the grants for? I mean, like, what kinds of things do you grant to people?
Well, if someone would like to open up a homeless center,
Okay.
There have been 2 grants in Texas this last year as a result of applications for intercontinental grants in the Valley. I think they both were.
Okay. We have said celebration at least 3 or 4 times here, and I think we ought to talk about the ecumenical celebrations that Church Women United have. Can you say some more about them, Liv?
That's probably the best known thing that we do. Worship services that are prepared